So let's chat the model through very quickly. Jason Gesing, CEO of eXp Realty. Jason, what a great pleasure to have your presence on the panel here today. Please could you give us a brief introduction of yourself and a quick overview of what's happening from an eXp Realty point of view?
Oh, with pleasure, Andrew. I'm delighted to be here, and that's a fantastic introduction. And I think in such a short period of time, what you've accomplished both in terms of growth in South Africa, but clearly you have identified some of the most wonderful things about our company, including our commitment to diversity and inclusion. I've been with the company now since January of 2010, which makes me a pretty early adopter. The company was launched in October of 2009. And really was a byproduct of the global financial crisis during a time when owners of brokerages were feeling great pressure because their fixed costs, things like rent and staffing and common area maintenance charges and all of these things that were going to be coming month after month after month, they were still there, but revenues were down because sellers couldn't sell, buyers couldn't get financing. The entire housing market really ground to a halt, and a lot of brokerages ended up shutting down. A lot of people who love the business, who've been in the business for years or decades, they found that the business just wasn't loving them back enough at that particular time. And so they had to close their doors, get out of the business, merge into another firm. But we really were launched as a result of those conditions. And our founder, Glenn Sanford, who had a great tech background coming in since he was a teenager and had great success in real estate in a pretty short period of time, he got into the business in 2002. He realized that back in 2009, even the technology existed where you could build community, where you could have all of the collaboration, the social engagement, the water cooler chats, the training, the birthday parties, the anniversary celebrations, the baby showers, everything that you would want to do in an office, you could do without the office. And by taking a different approach, you could open up conversations and collaboration and opportunities for growth, personal and professional, with people not just in your local market, but people who were located anywhere on the globe. And we've been operating that way ever since. And one of the things that that's allowed us to do is have a cost structure that enables a compensation model that is superior and unsurpassed in the industry. If you think about it, I mean, we have no redundancies in staffing. We're able to provide really interpersonal and engaging support to our agents all over the globe. And we do it in a way that gives us great cost savings. And those are savings that we pass on directly to our agents in the form of revenue sharing, which is something that we have a very aggressive revenue sharing program that rewards agents for helping the company grow by bringing in other good agents. And also through a very favorable split, commission split to the agent, a low cap. And then in 2013, we made probably the most important decision that we've made as a company, and that was that we really recognize the value of the agent to the real estate company, to the brokerage of the firm. If you look at any brokerage, the only value that exists is the value that is brought by the agents who are out there building relationships with consumers, providing excellent service, really driving the revenues. And you can have the nicest office in the world, the greatest logo, the most recognizable name, wonderful staff, great CRM system. But if you don't have agents, the value of your enterprise is zero. And so as a result, we merged into a public shell company in 2013. And we did that so that the agents and brokers of eXp globally could be shareholders of eXp World Holdings, which is the public company. And you can go and look up our ticker symbol on any financial website under the symbol EXPI. You'll see we just filed our earnings pre-release announcement this morning. So everything is open for you to see. But by joining this company, you are a shareholder just by doing things that you're going to do anyway, closing your first transaction of the year, helping the company grow by attracting other agents, capping. We don't have a royalty. This is not a franchise structure. You can also elect freely if you want to receive a percentage, 5% of your commission in the form of company stock at a discount to the public market. So this whole mindset of agent ownership, where agents are on a level field with what we would otherwise call leadership or management, it's really unique. And I think we've transformed the relationship between the agent and the brokerage with which they work. And we all come together, whether we're in South Africa, Australia, Calgary, Boston, where I am, and the list just keeps growing. We all come together with great diversity of experience, great personal diversity, great professional diversity, and we're all owners of the same enterprise. And we come into our world, our platform, eXp World, which I hope you'll see, come visit. and we all want to build the very best company we can as fellow owners. And that's a pretty powerful force. And I think it's why today people are calling us the Amazon of real estate. It's why we are the fastest growing brokerage in the history of the industry in North America. And we have every expectation to be a disruptor and really help agents and their families as we go forward globally. So happy to answer any questions. And I'm really just grateful to you, Andrew, for your leadership and for putting this conversation together.
Yeah, Jason, I just really want to thank you and Glenn Sanford, yourself in particular, Michael Valdez. The welcome into this company as eXp Realty has just been absolutely phenomenal. And what really has come to mind is you often spoken about it in every conversation that I certainly have had with you. You often speak about the eXp family and the eXp community. And this pandemic has changed the way that we operate in the real estate world. How has this affected the eXp community, just from your perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first, it really is a family. And I believe that as we fast forward, say 5 years from now, when we look back on what we have done, I think it's as much about the community that we've been able to build across borders as it is anything else. It's about our ability to embrace people who are different from ourselves, our ability to embrace differences and the value and the enrichment that that's provided to the lives of each and every person in the company. But the pandemic, I can tell you that we probably are the one company who didn't really have to change our approach much when the pandemic arrived. I mean, I was still going into the same campus in eXp World every single day for work, as were the other folks on the panel here. Our agents were still going in, and to the extent that they could, they were still closing transactions. There were some different changes in markets relative to regulations and what you could and couldn't do that we had to stay on top of. But it was business as usual for us. And what we recognized is that for all other agents in the industry who perhaps had heard of eXp, who had looked at eXp, and who said, you know, it looks really great, but I don't want to put myself through any discomfort. And I like my office. I'm used to coming in and sitting next to Cheryl and getting coffee and bouncing ideas off somebody else. Why would I want to put myself in any sort of discomfort? The pandemic really forced, I think, agents and brokers and brokerages everywhere into an uncomfortable position. They had to adjust. They had to pivot. They had to figure out how to work without being physically in the same proximity. And so I think it caused agents in all of our markets to take another look at us. We created a series of courses that were specifically geared towards doing well and thriving in your business during a pandemic. And it focused on tools that we were introducing to make it easier to show properties virtually, a whole host of other things. And we opened it up to the industry in its entirety. And what really happened is we started to get increasing numbers of visitors from other firms. We weren't pressuring them. There was no sales pitch. It was just come on in and seek respite from the isolation that you're now enduring at home as a result of the pandemic. And our community's been thriving ever since. Certainly core values are critically important. We took a very interesting approach, an inclusive approach to arriving at ours. But they only work if you believe them and you live them. And I know certainly that Glenn does, and I know that for me, and I won't get into the history of my own background and how I grew up and being around different types of people. But in a sense, it's selfish because I gained so much from being around people that have differences. And the other thing I'll say is that when we come into or encounter times or circumstances where there is demonstrated intolerance or demonstrated division, as there has been in this country for recently, for sure. I want this company to be something that stands in stark contrast to that rejects intolerance and rejects division and really sees the value of and embraces the differences among us. And I think we're well on our way.